Fight fans, buckle up. Conor McGregor just called his shot in prime time. On Fox and Friends, the former two-division UFC champ said he's on the 2026 White House card, and he expects Michael Chandler to be the man across from him.
And, you know, the Mac is excited to get back for sure.
In UFC, there'll be a fight at the White House. They're making up the cards now. Does Conor McGregor want to be a part of that?
I'm on it.
You're on it?
I'm on it. Well,
Who are you fighting?
I am. This is me. Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler and myself have done the show, The Ultimate Fighter. We've had a good back and forth. He's a good, tough guy.
So McGregor, you got big names coming back?
Yeah, we'll build the greatest card of all time for the White House fight. And Conor and I have been talking consistently. He wants this fight bad. And you know, when you get to a level that Conor's at, you got to find things in life that motivate you. And the White House card has definitely motivated Conor McGregor.
In Conor's words, the Mac is excited. He's on that show, and Chandler is the matchup that makes sense after the Ultimate Fighter season and months of back and forth. That's the sizzle. Here's the steak. Dana White has repeatedly said he won't start locking that card until February, but he also admitted he's in frequent contact with McGregor and that the return talk is serious. Meanwhile, Chandler has kept his foot on the gas. Days ago, he told MMA Fighting, "We're closer now than we ever have been."
Would the ideal opponent for that one be the guy you've wanted to fight for a long time, and who knows, might be the president of Ireland by that time?
Yeah, could be the president of Ireland, which would be very, very ironic. You know, obviously, I'm kind of, it's definitely the fight that I want. You know, everybody knows that's the fight that I want. I have said publicly that's the fight that I want, but I'm also the guy who's not going to wait for that fight.
In my heart of hearts, I think I'm fighting Conor McGregor at the White House, and that makes a ton of sense for a multitude of reasons. History matters here. McGregor hasn't fought since the leg break in the Dustin Poirier trilogy. He and Chandler were scheduled for June 2024, then Conor's broken toe blew it up and nothing got rebooked. Fast forward, a marquee venue, a one-off card with global eyeballs, a ready-made rivalry, and two elite talkers who don't need manufacturing. If the UFC's February timing holds, the next 8 to 10 weeks are about green lights, health, licensing, training windows, and media commitments. The minute those boxes check, that poster prints itself. If the White House card locks tomorrow, do you book McGregor versus Chandler on the spot, yes or no? Drop your pick winner, the city you'd host it in, and your plan B if it falls through. Then hit subscribe and tap the bell so you catch the matchup the minute it's official. Brazil just lost its main dance partner. Rafael Fiziev is out of UFC Rio with an injury, leaving Charles Oliveira without an opponent for October 11th. The promotion hasn't confirmed a new dance yet, but the board is already rattling. Fiziev came in looking for his second straight win after the Bahamondes decision and a rough skid against Justin Gaethje and Mateusz Gamrot. Oliveira was set for his first Brazilian headliner since he outclassed Kevin Lee in March 2020, the eerie, empty arena night when the pandemic slammed the brakes. So what now? If the division wants to keep Bronx in the spotlight, the options funnel into 3 buckets. A top 5 short-notice savage who wants a title springboard, a high-variance striker with name value who guarantees fireworks, or a ranked technician who keeps the card competitive while saving the hometown energy. The choice tells you a lot about how the UFC wants to book the first quarter of 2026 at lightweight. If Oliveira gets a replacement with real teeth and wins, he's right back in title eliminator territory. If they punt and move him, Rio becomes a scramble to preserve star power on a shorter clock. A serious and sobering update. Raja Jackson, son of former UFC champion Quinton Rampage Jackson, was arrested around 9 a.m. Thursday in Los Angeles and booked on a felony count of battery with serious bodily injury. He is being held on $50,000 bail and, as of now, remains in custody. This follows the August incident at a Knockx Pro event where Jackson stormed the ring, lifted and slammed Stuart Smith, ring name Psycho Stu, then threw a flurry of punches as Smith appeared to be unconscious. Other wrestlers eventually pulled him off. Smith was transported to the hospital, spent several days in the ICU, and according to family updates, suffered trauma to both jaws, a lacerated upper lip, and a fractured maxilla with several teeth lost. There's more context, and it's not exculpatory. Earlier the same day, Smith reportedly hit Jackson with a beer can, thinking he was playing into a promo angle. Video then captured an apology and a handshake. Before the match, Jackson live-streamed that he would get real revenge during the segment. After an LAPD investigation, the arrest landed weeks later. How to handle this on air? Go minimal and factual. Use a grayscale timeline card. Incident in August, arrest on Thursday morning, felony charge, $50,000 bail, followed by a single blur-safe photo from the venue. Do not re-air the violent angle. Close with a lower third, case active, charges pending. If you want a single human note, cite Rampage's public stance from earlier reporting. He supports consequences, community service, anger management, and therapy.
Fuck all that. Roger, I think that he should do a little time, do a little community service, and go to anger management class, see some therapy.
But you know that goes like some people said it was attempted murder and things like that. That's not a little time.
It wasn't attempted murder because he wasn't trying to kill that guy.
How do you know?
Because that's my son. I know my son. Roger wasn't trying to kill nobody. He wasn't trying to kill that guy. Roger probably didn't even know how bad he hurt that guy. He wasn't trying to kill that guy. The problem is everything got blown out of proportion, and people thought that Roger snuck into the fucking ring and did that. That's what the problem is. Like, at this point, Roger was in the act as a pro wrestler, but he ain't no fucking pro wrestler. The promoters had no reason putting my son in that fucking ring. But it was no attempted fucking murder.
That lands as accountability without speculation. The lightweight division's top contender just reminded everyone how nasty his finishing instincts are, even without strikes. Arman Sarukian headlined ACBJJ 18 in Moscow against former UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson in a no-gi super fight, and he hunted the neck from the opening grips. Henderson defended for minutes, but in the final sequence, Tsarukyan cinched a crushing arm triangle. Henderson refused to tap and went out. The referee stepped in and Sarukian got the submission. Why this matters for MMA, not just grappling. The arm triangle is one of Tsarukyan's go-to routes inside the fence, and the patience on display mirrors what makes him brutal under the lights. Pressure that doesn't feel reckless, transitions that feel inevitable, and a squeeze that forces decisions nobody wants to make. The optics are also powerful. A surging, active champion in waiting, sharpening the weapon he trusts most against a former UFC title holder. If he's first in line for the lightweight strap in early 2026, this clip becomes the final shot of every promo. An arm triangle under the lights, a limp hand, and Tsarukyan standing up like he already knew. On The Fighter versus the Writer, Matt Brown delivered a blunt warning about bringing an MMA-style single-promoter model into boxing. His thesis is simple. The Alley Act exists to keep rankings, titles, and matchups from being owned by a promoter.
The big issue is what they've done with the UFC is they've monopolized the sport. And what that creates is the reason that Dana doesn't do those interviews is because he controls the media, right? That's why like no one goes to a UFC as a media and asks hard questions. They're all softball questions, right? They're the same questions over and over again. So they control the media and they have a monopoly on the sport. And what happens is this is why you see guys, what was it a couple weeks ago when Pratis was like begging for his friend to get a shot in the UFC, you know, and you see guys like me, I'm guilty of.
Brown's quote that will ride the ticker, that's Dana eating what you killed. In other words, he believes the UFC's central control playbook would erode boxer leverage if it's ported wholesale into Zuffa boxing. Context that frames the conversation. The UFC still faces antitrust suits alleging monopolistic behavior in MMA, Zuffa boxing is scaling its calendar, and public debate around the Ali Act's future has heated up. Brown's argument isn't a legal filing, it's a cultural fault line. Fighters in boxing are used to negotiating across multiple promoters and sanctioning bodies. Fighters in MMA are used to a single brand acting as promoter, matchmaker, rankings oracle, and distributor. Which world wins when those models collide on the same stage? That's not an abstract question anymore. It's a press conference question before every big Zuffa boxing date. Should the UFC lock Conor versus Chandler for the White House the moment February hits? Who should headline with Oliveira in Rio? And if Zuffa boxing keeps growing, does the Ali Act protect the right things, or is a new model inevitable? Your takes, your card, let's build it. If you want fight news without fluff and with receipts, hit subscribe and tap the bell. Then drop 3 quick takes in the comments. McGregor versus Chandler. Who wins, how, and in which city? Oliveira in Rio. Who should step in? Zuffa boxing and the Ali Act. Help or harm for fighters? Your picks, your card, let's build it.